Well, hello cuties, I'm back. And today we are going to be finishing my Christmas nails and the twisted tail of Snow White. If you're new here, welcome to my channel and welcome to the Cute Life. I'm your cult leader, Leah, and on Wednesdays, I try to do a video where I do my nails and I tell you about the latest book I've read because it's more fun for me that way. So yeah, we have just finished putting on my acrylic. So now I'm gonna file these babies up and finish our story. Now when we left off, Snow and the little men were in the forest looking for a magic tree that could help Snow shapeshift and sneak into the castle and move around the country without the queen knowing. That way they could put together a little militia basically to take over the kingdom and reclaim Snow's rightful throne. Now when they had gone out into the forest to find this tree, they ran in to Henry. Prince Henrich, I think is how you say his proper name. Snow White had mistaken him for the huntsman coming back to finish the job. So when she realized that it was Henry and not the huntsman, she was like, "What are you doing here?" And he was like, "Snow? What are you doing here?" Well, I think my nail file is dying again. I always forget to charge it. Get my cuticles here really fast before it dies. Okay, it's dead. Moving on. Yeah, Snow was like, "What are you doing here?" And then Henry was like, "No, what are you doing here?" He says, "I've been looking for you, Snow. I was on an urgent mission to get back to your castle to find you and took a shortcut, but my horse was scared off by the darkness. I got turned around and couldn't find my way out." Snow replies, "Urgent? Is this about the queen? Has she told the kingdom I'm dead?" He's like, "You dead? You mean him? We didn't think she believed he was a threat, but he could be." He wasn't making sense. "What are you talking about?" Henry grabbed her by the hand. "Snow, I found your father." Ingrid is in her secret chamber with her mirror, chanting incantations and performing a lifeblood ritual that kept the mirror alive and full of magic, which then empowered the evil queen to become beautiful and strong. She hears, "Ingrid, what are you doing?" There was Catherine. She had a horrified look on her face. Ingrid went to go after her, but the mirror said, "We must resume. Leaving now will mean your doom." But Ingrid went after her sister anyway. "You're a witch," Catherine cried. Ingrid denied it. Catherine was inconsolable and said, "Yes, you are. George warned me. He said he had heard rumors about what you do in your chambers. I didn't believe him. I can't believe you are practicing dark magic and with your niece sleeping under the same roof." The queen told her she must get rid of the mirror. Ingrid said, "No, you've taken everything from me. You shouldn't be the only one allowed to have love." "Love?" Catherine said. "Ingrid, it's a mirror. It can't love you." Ingrid said, "You don't rule me." Catherine squared her shoulders. Her face hardened. "Actually, I do. I am your queen. And if I say the mirror goes, it goes, or you do." "You're threatening to throw me out?" Ingrid said. How dare her sister behave like this? Ingrid raised her. She had cared for her like a mother would. She had given everything to her sister and gotten nothing in return. Catherine loved her new family more than she had ever loved Ingrid, and now she finally had a deep, meaningful connection. For the mirror needed her in a way Catherine never did. And her sister wanted to take that away? Catherine went to the door and said, "I have to tell George about this." "I'm sorry." Ingrid then heard the mirror say, "You know what you could lose. Time marches on. Whose future will you choose?" Ingrid knew what the mirror was suggesting. In order for the mirror to survive, Catherine had to die. Now, back to Snow White. You found my father? Yes, Henry said. Snow had grown fairly certain her aunt had killed her father. He's alive? Henry said he had a lot to tell her, but not here. But they couldn't go anywhere until they found the tree. They described it to Henry, and Henry pointed out a tree that it could be. The tree was dead. There was nothing in it. Definitely not sap, magic, or otherwise. Apparently, it was just a rumor. They should leave back to the cottage. Snow invited Henry to come back with them. Henry told them the story of what happened. He had found Snow's father at the edge of his own kingdom, only about a day's ride from Snow's castle. He told them, "After I saw Snow, I tried to meet with Queen Ingrid, but she wouldn't hear of it without an appointment. And an appointment with the queen is hard to come by. I was told I'd have to wait months to have an audience, and even then it couldn't be guaranteed. I decided to head home, feeling as if I'd failed my people. I was so distressed, I didn't know what I would tell them. Maybe that's why I pushed through my journey so quickly, traveling day and night to get home, not caring what the weather was. And it was treacherous. It rained for days, and I was soaked to the bone. It was no wonder I took ill. So ill, I took a spill into a lake and nearly drowned. It was raining so hard, I didn't see the cliff. My horse did, though, stopping short and threw me off. He ran away, which was a good thing because that's how George found me. He spotted my horse and the baggage it was carrying. He knew there had to be a rider nearby. He went searching for me. The current was fierce, and I was fighting to get back to shore with my last breath. I was so tired, I grabbed onto a tree limb that had fallen into the water. I was ready to give up when George arrived and helped me to safety. George says I spiked a fever and slept fitfully for days. If he hadn't taken me into his home and nursed me back to health, I wouldn't have made it. I'm sure of that. I'd been prepared to leave him right away, but I still wasn't myself, and the weather was still bad. So George invited me to stay. It was only when I was well enough that we got to talking. That's when I told him about my trip to your kingdom. As soon as I mentioned it, I could see the change in him. He seemed distressed, like a man consumed, and he began pacing the floor. When I asked him what was the matter, he wouldn't say. Instead, he asked me to tell him about my business there. I told him of the queen's refusal to see me and about the beautiful maiden I had met in the castle gardens. After I spoke of you, he started asking all these questions about the princess and her relationship with the queen. I said I didn't know anything about that. So he asked if the princess seemed happy. I said you were lovely, but you seemed sad. When I didn't have more to tell him, he excused himself and went to bed. I was confused as to why he had this reaction when it came to you. So I tried to bring it up again, but his answer was always the same. Knowing the truth about his life would only put me in harm's way. Snow, your father never wanted to leave you or his people. He left because Queen Ingrid banished him. The queen tricked him into leaving the castle one day. He said he doesn't remember leaving or why he agreed to go. In truth, he says he doesn't remember what possessed him to marry her in the first place. All he knows is that when he tried to return to you, he couldn't. Anytime he tried to return to the kingdom, some strange force would prevent him from walking on your soil. He tried everything to get around it, going to every possible part of the border to get through, and the same thing would happen. A jolt of electricity so strong it would practically stop his heart. He never stopped trying to get back to you. He hated knowing you were growing up in that castle with a woman so wicked. Snow knew that her Aunt Ingrid had used dark magic on her father now. I knew King George wouldn't abandon us, Bashful said. I need to see him, Snow said. If he can't come to me, I will go to him, Henry said. He was hoping she would say that. "I will take you to him," he said. And they left first thing in the morning. Back at the castle, the evil queen stared down at the heart in the carved wooden box. She was trying to decide what to tell the people of Snow White's disappearance. Was she dead, or did she abandon her people like her father years ago? She took the box and summoned her magic mirror. "Magic mirror on the wall, who now is the fairest one of all?" The mirror replied, "Over the 7 jeweled hills, behind the 7 falls, in the cottage of the 7 dwarves, dwells Snow White, fairest one of all." The queen replied, "Snow White lies dead in the forest. The huntsman has brought me proof. Behold, her heart," showing the mirror her prize. "Snow White still lives, the fairest in the land. It is the heart of a pig you hold in your hand," said the mirror. "The heart of a pig! Have I been tricked?" Rushing out of her chambers, she headed back to her throne room and had the huntsman thrown into the dungeon. Snow White and Henry journeyed to the border of the prince's kingdom alone. The men stayed behind so they could gather intel that would allow them to figure out which villages they should visit to gain allies in the fight against the queen. When they got to Henry's kingdom, they came upon a small cottage. A man with the same mole as her father came out. She got down from the horse and said, "Father?" And he immediately started to cry. They went into the cottage and settled in with some food and wine. Her father told her that he had been under a love spell, which is what caused him to marry Ingrid. It was the same magic that kept him from entering the kingdom again. He told Snow that he never did trust Ingrid. He told her about a night when Catherine had come to him upset about a mirror. "I should have finished her that night, but Catherine wouldn't allow it," he said. Ingrid entered her private chambers and saw that her wardrobe door was open, the door that had led to her secret mirror. She would put the intruder to death. But when she entered and realized it was a little child reaching for the mirror, she yelled, "Snow!" She rushed toward the girl and pulled her away from the mirror. "How did you get in here?" she asked. The little girl cried and cried. "It said I could see Mother. It said all I had to do was touch it," Snow cried. Ingrid scolded Snow White. Snow cried, "You're not my mother, and you never will be," and ran off. Now, back to Snow's father's cottage. Snow had a nightmare. In the nightmare, her mother showed her where the mirror was in her aunt's secret chamber. Snow now knew they must find the mirror and destroy it. Back at the castle, Ingrid was furious to find out that the heart she thought was Snow White's was a pig's. Snow White was alive. In a fit of rage, Ingrid flew out of her quarters and descended the castle steps to the first floor. She went straight to her lair deep in the castle dungeon. If she wanted Snow dead, she had to do away with her herself. She decided to disguise herself and go to the dwarf's cottage, which the mirror had told Ingrid Snow was at. She would disguise herself as an old hag. If Snow was anything like her mother, she'd take pity on an old woman who happened on her doorstep. "To change my queenly clothing into a peddler's coat," she said, and then dropped some powder into a cauldron. "To shroud my clothes, the black of night. To age my voice, an old hag's cackle. To whiten my hair, a scream of fright." She mixed it all together in a goblet, and she drank it. The room started to spin, and she felt sick and almost went unconscious. But then she felt the transformation take place. Her hands changed before her eyes. The transformation was complete. But now, what to do about the girl? She looked through her spell books and came across one that said, "The Sleeping Death. One taste of the poison apple, and the victim's eyes will close forever." How poetic. So she made this poison apple, she put them in a basket, and then she went to head to Snow's cottage. Just as she was leaving, she was like, oh no, wait a minute. What if there's an antidote? She rushed back to her book to check, and it said that the only antidote was love's first kiss. But she thought, no worries about that. The dwarves will think she's dead. She'll be buried alive. So now, Snow White and Henry are getting ready to leave her father's cottage and head back to where the little men are, and they're gonna go and overthrow the queen. As they're leaving, her father gives her a necklace that he says was her mother's, and that it would protect her, and also that people in the kingdom might recognize it as Snow's mother's and realize who she was. He said that an enchantress had come through one time and saw it and recognized it. So then when Snow and Henry got back to the little men, they told them everything that they had learned from Snow's father. The dwarves told Snow about how they had been talking to some of the other miners from surrounding villages, and there was these one particular miners who seemed very interested and told them to come and talk to them once Snow got back. So they headed there. So now back at the castle, the queen, still disguised as like an old hag, was super frustrated because when she had gone to the cottage to try and poison Snow White with the apple, she wasn't there because she was at her father's cottage. So she went to consult her mirror, and the mirror told her that Snow had found her father and was coming there to overthrow her. He also told her that the queen couldn't just kill Snow White because then the people would rally behind Snow White. That would just, I guess, be the last straw with the people, I guess. So the queen said, well, perhaps there is a way to bury her alive after all, along with her prince. So Snow White and the prince and the dwarves were on their way to this mining village that they thought could help them in their mission. They're on horses, and as they're going through the forest, a sudden thunder and lightning storm comes swooping in, like all of a sudden, and it's so loud they can't hear each other yelling, and it spooks the horses. They get thrown, all the horses go running off, and Grumpy shouts, "Into the mines!" And they all go running into this mine to take shelter. So they're all in this cave, and Grumpy's like, there's something strange about this storm. It's like it was following us or something. It's witchcraft. It's the evil queen. So they make their way farther back into the cave for some more security, and all of a sudden they hear a rumbling. And Grumpy's like, it's a cave-in! Get to the walls! So Snow and Henry are crouched up against a wall, and they're covering their heads. And finally, everything kind of starts to settle down. There's a bunch of debris in the air, and they're trapped behind a wall of fallen boulders and rocks. And Snow's thinking, oh God, okay, she got me, she wins. I guess this is how I'm gonna die. Now back at the castle where the evil queen is, still in her haggard state, is talking to her mirror, and she's like, okay, now I think I must have gotten them for sure this time. She had, conjured up the storm, forcing them into the caves, where she sent repeated lightning strikes to make it cave in. Guess she had buried the girl alive after all. So she consults her magic mirror again. Mirror, mirror on the wall, the blah, blah, blah. Who is the fairest one of all? And the mirror answers, lips red as the rose, hair black as ebony, skin white as snow. Snow White still lives, and soon all will know. back in the mines with Snow White. Snow's like trying to feel in the darkness for Henry. Her and Henry find each other. They fall into each other's arms for comfort. And they almost kiss. But they get interrupted by one of the dwarves. Rocks are starting to fall down from the wall that caved in. And it's Grumpy. And you can see his eye peeking through. He's like, "Are you guys okay?" They're like, "Yes." He tells them that there's actually a back entrance to the cave, and if they just keep going, they'll find it. And that they can go ahead and just head toward the village that they were on their way to. The dwarves decide that they're gonna stay behind, I guess to recruit even more, save on time. So Snow and Henry go through the cave on their own and come out the other side. And when they come out, they're on top of a beautiful mountain. Back at the castle, the mirror shows the evil queen that Snow's still alive. Her plan failed again. So then she immediately put out a decree saying that there was a reward for anyone who would bring in Snow or any of her companions. Back to Snow and Henry. They're making their way down the mountain, and they can see the village that they're headed towards, just off in the distance. They're almost there. And they hear a man shout, "Hey, you there, you looking for someone?" Snow's like, yeah, we're looking for Fritz and Kurt. They should be expecting us." The guy's like, "Oh, yeah, I know them. Right this way." And he leads them to like a barn. He's like, "Yeah, just wait here. I'll go get them." And they waited there for a really long time. So long that they fell asleep. And then they woke up to a bunch of strangers looking over them. So Snow tells them that, her plans and that she needs their help. And they're like, "Well, why should we trust you? Your father abandoned the kingdom, da 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 da." She's like, no, those are all lies by the queen. And they're still not convinced because they know if they fail, the queen, take it out on them. One of the villagers takes out a poster. And there's a picture of Snow and Henry on it. And it says reward. He's like, "Why don't we just turn you in and get the reward? Why shouldn't we just do that?" And Snow's like, no, don't hurt us. Because they go to grab him. And somebody in the crowd goes, "Let her speak." Guess what it was? It was Anne. Remember Anne? The little girl whose mother was the seamstress for the queen. Snow's like, "Oh, Anne. So good to see you." And she tells the villagers, "Hey, listen, the queen does not care about you. I care about you. Don't you remember my parents, how they cared for the kingdom? And when they were in charge, everything was great." She's like, "I'm going to be the same kind of ruler because that's how they taught me to rule." So she convinces them to help her. So the next morning, Snow, Henry, and Anne leave the village. Kurt and Fritz, they're going to stay behind and they're going to continue to recruit more like-minded villagers. And they promised that they were going to meet them up near the castle, and then there together they would storm the castle. Anne tells Snow that, they need to figure out a way for her to maneuver the kingdom and sneak into the castle without being seen. So she suggests that they go see this sorceress lady who can change the way they look. Looking cute. So they get to this enchantress's house and she puts together a drink for Henry and Snow to drink, and they drink it. When they look at each other, they don't look any different. So they're like, "Oh, this didn't work." But then they go to the mirror and they look in the mirror and both of them look completely different. Henry is taller with a different shade of brown hair. Snow is a little plumper and she has platinum blonde hair piled up on top of her head and some sort of Swiss braid look. The enchantress then rushes them out of there and says, "Okay, go do whatever it is you're gonna do." go and bring down the evil queen. Snow, Henry, and Anne come up with this plan. Anne is going to sneak Henry into the castle and hide him somewhere in the kitchen so that he can be in there when Snow gets in there to help her. I guess they think it's safer to sneak in one at a time versus all three of them. I don't know. Anyway, that's the plan. Henry's going to be inside waiting for Snow in case she needs him. So then all three of them get to the rendezvous. The meeting place with the rest of the villagers. Snow was expecting, when they showed up, they might have, like 20 people or so. But when they got there, there were like hundreds of people waiting for Snow to show up to help her storm the castle and take her throne back. I guess that's how popular she was. How much the people really loved her and needed the queen done away with. But, of course, she was in her disguise. So everyone was like, where's Snow? What'd you do with her? And basically, she convinces them that it's her because of her voice. I don't know if you recall the Snow White movie, but her voice was very distinct. It was super high and childlike because it was Shirley Temple doing her voice. So she sounded like Shirley Temple. So she had a voice like that. So it was very distinct. So they were like, yeah, you're probably her. We think you're her. Let's go do this. They told the people at 12 exactly, storm the castle. Before that, Anne sneaks Henry in, stashes him in the kitchen, comes back for Snow, and then Snow goes. But I forgot to tell you that as soon as they enter the castle, for some reason, the spell that makes them look different, it doesn't work anymore. So they go back to looking like themselves. Inside the castle, the mirror tells the evil queen that Henry is in the kitchen hiding. So she goes down there, still looking like an old hag. For some reason, she hasn't changed herself back yet. But I guess that's good for her because she's gonna go trick Henry. She goes in the kitchen, she finds him hiding. She's like, oh, what are you doing, young man? Why don't you have a little something to eat? Let me get you some delicious apples. And he's like, oh, thanks. And he eats one, and he falls down on the ground into a death-like sleep. So now the evil queen is going to use Henry's sleeping dead body to get to Snow, I guess. She thinks that, her love is dead. Why bother? And she'll give up on her mission. So Snow White and Anne are coming up onto the castle grounds, and they notice a sign that's posted on the gate where you enter at, that everyone has to come to the town square for a very important celebration. They're like, this is weird. The queen doesn't do celebrations, especially for the people. So they know something's up. And they come upon this crowd that's forming. They're hearing people say, run, get away, or the evil queen will get you too. She gets through the crowd and she sees Henry in a glass coffin up on a platform in the middle of the square. She pushes through the people and she makes her way to the platform. And she's like, oh, Henry, this is all my fault. And she opens the casket and she's trying to shake him awake. And she goes to listen for a heartbeat. But before she can register one, someone grabs her and pulls her away from Henry. And he says, Queen Ingrid would like a word with you. Drag her off. And the queen is watching all this from her chamber window. And in a few moments, her chamber door opens and Snow is thrown inside. And she says, Snow White says, well, who are you? And the queen says, I'm the one that cursed your prince. And Snow says, is he dead? And she says, he's good as dead. And Snow says, you destroyed my family and you killed my mother, Queen Catherine. And the evil queen says, don't you say her name to me. Then there's pounding at the door and a guard says, Your Majesty, we have to get out of here. People are storming the castle. And Snow, in the middle of all this, says, Catherine, Catherine, Catherine. She told her not to say her name, so she's gonna say it. And Ingrid starts fitting and throwing a temper tantrum-like situation and just screaming. And then her mirror begins to crack. You can tell that the mirror is like dying or something because Ingrid is losing it. So Snow has a pocket knife that Henry had given her to help protect herself. And she takes the knife and she plunges it into the mirror. And the mirror shatters. Fiery red glass goes spewing everywhere and the entire castle plunges into darkness. Ingrid comes to, opens her eyes, and she sees Snow standing over her. And Snow says, You will be tried for your crimes. Guards, take her to the dungeon. Snow comes out of the chambers and everyone's in the hallway. Anne, the little men, everyone that helped. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're so glad you're okay. We were so worried about you. She's like, well, thanks, but what about Henry? Where is he? I want to see him. And they're like, Snow, you shouldn't, well, she's just like, just let him go. She's like, no. She's like, the queen said he was good as dead. So she was hoping this wasn't, actually dead. She runs to him where he's at, in the coffin, in the square. She opens the lid. She puts her ear to his chest again, looking for that heartbeat that she didn't get a chance to find. She doesn't hear anything. So she whispers in his ear, I'm so sorry, Henry. And she gives him a kiss on the lips. She gives him their first kiss ever. True love's first kiss. And then she kneels down in sadness. Then all of a sudden, she hears him gasping for air. And his eyes flutter open. And she sits him up and she's like, you're okay. He's like, you saved me. And she's like, I guess I did. And everyone's cheering and saying, she saved him. She saved all of us. Now, a few months later, it's Snow's coronation. And Snow's father is there. And he takes the crown from his head and he places it on hers. The little men are there. They're now members of her court. Henry's there. He has an official position as some sort of liaison of trade. But really, he's there for Snow. He's her little friend. It's assumed that shortly they will be married. So yeah, Snow White got her moment. She got her kingdom back from the evil queen. And that's that. Thought it was a cute story. I like these twists on Disney movies. I think they're cute. I really like this Twisted Tales series, especially when you just want something light and fun. Like I said, I've been reading a lot of deep stuff lately for some reason. Just like heavy philosophy and stuff. And as much as I like it, I can't. I gotta take a break sometimes and just read for the enjoyment of it. So yeah, that's what these books are about for me. If you like that kind of stuff too, I would definitely suggest this series. There's a lot more that I haven't read yet. I think this is only the third one in the series that I've read, and I know there's at least probably 3 more. I don't know, I have to look, but there's a few more, and I'll be doing those too eventually. Plus it's Christmas, and I just wanted something cute and fun, like my nails. Okay, I'm going to finish up these last 3 nails and then we will finish up this video. Oh my god, I am done. my rings back on here. Get some cuticle oil on. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have my nails back on. And they're Christmas. It officially feels like Christmas now. Oh, then. What do you think? You like some icicle nails? Icicle nails? I like them. Okay, we are done. You guys, I cannot believe it literally takes me all day to do this. So having you here to talk to about one of my other favorite things, books, is very wonderful. And thank you for joining me and letting me talk to you. If you watched both of these videos full to the end, each one, so you heard the whole story, let me know by commenting something along the lines of Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever it is that you say this time of year. Put it in the comments so that I know you watched both of these videos and that you're a little nutty. That's okay, because I'm a little nutty too. Also, if you liked this video, let me know by giving it a thumbs up. Make sure and subscribe if you want, and hit the notifications bell so that you won't miss out on more episodes of Nails, Novels, and Nonfiction. And I will see you in the next episode, probably around the new year. Bye. Baby, are you okay? Oh my. And today we are finishing my Christmas nails, and we're finishing the twisted tail of Snow White. What? What? She's staring at me like, do something for me. I'm in the middle of something. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll lay with you for the rest of the day when I'm done with this, okay? Poor baby. Okay. And today we are finishing my Christmas nails, and take 3. Kurt and Fritz are gonna stay. Fritz? Yeah, Kurt and Fritz. It's probably Swiss braid.